It makes you wonder how long God was around before he decided to start creating shit.
So is this an example of when the sequels were better than the first one?
No, it was worse. But this is the thing, right? This is why I say to Christians, okay, let's play devil's advocate here. That is still in your book. So that is still the history of your God. In the beginning, there was really nothing, but there was form and void, and the nothing was really everything.
So this was something that Thoth taught in the Emerald Tablets, you're saying?
And then we ended up passing that on to our children, and then their children's children and children's children. So the indoctrination came really from them, because there are a lot of people out there that are just thinking that someone is going to be there to save them. You have to save yourself.
I don't think there will ever be a day that I could teach Todd Cave something. You know what I mean? And then you say something like that, like coming on our show kind of helped you like realize you wanted to do your own show. So that's just fucking awesome, dude.
If you are new to this podcast, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and to share, because that helps us to be recommended in the algorithms. If you would like to support this podcast, please check out our merch store on Amazon with the brand Todd and Me. We've got some cool t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, and sweaters. Link will be in the description of this podcast. And if you're now starting a spiritual journey, you would like to start a spiritual journey, or you're currently on a spiritual journey and you would like some help removing some fears and traumas, please hit me up on my Instagram at Adriano_246, and it will help you to get some magic mushrooms. Enjoy the show and stay tuned, because we have some more great content coming soon. Hello friends, and welcome back to the Conscious Man 7 podcast. I am your host Todd Cave, and on this episode I was a returning guest on the Meta Mysteries podcast hosted by Jonathon and Sean, and we went deep again in this conversation. We spoke about religion. We brought down how religion really holds and binds the minds of its followers to believe that doing acts of violence, rape, murder, and pillage, including genocide, are actually good because God told them to do it. And we also talked about the Saviour complex, which is something that humanity seems to have, where we have a Saviour or a Messiah coming back in most religions. We think that the government is our Saviour and is akin to our Messiah. And we also talk about how this has affected us, because it doesn't permit us to focus on the kingdom within and working on ourselves to overcome our fears and traumas and to do the hard shadow work. And we also talked about what it looks like to find the kingdom within, which really starts with you. It really starts with your development as a person, getting in the best shape you can get in, reading books, doing things like psychedelics. And these are things that will help you to improve your overall worldview, your mindset, and also increase your energy, frequency, and vibration, because exercise is the only thing that you can do to immediately change your state while you're doing it.
When truth is blurred by lies and misinformation, perception becomes reality. What will you perceive your reality to be?
Liberate your fears and walk with me.
Sit down and meditate. Connect with your soul.
Be a monster and then learn how to control it.
You gotta be willing to do the work.
So it really goes really deep in terms of words and etymology and what they mean. So this is why it is really hard to really crack the matrix, because there's so many levels and layers to it,
Welcome to Meta Mysteries, where you don't know what you don't know. My name's Jonathan.
I'm Sean.
And today we bring back one of our favorite guests of all time. Welcome back to Meta Mysteries, Todd Cave.
Hello, I'm very happy to be here, because the last time we chatted to you, it was a really, really good chat. And I listened back to that podcast about 3 times, actually.
I think a lot of our listeners did. Yeah.
I think I had to listen to it a couple times myself, because there was so much in there, man, that I felt like I needed to try to absorb. You know what I mean? So, and this morning I woke up and I was like, oh, I hope I'm ready because I know it's going to be a little bit of a two-peat, you know?
Yeah, dude, it's gonna get crazy. And but really, why we wanted to have you on is because you started your own podcast. Do you want to let your our listeners know the one? Do you want to let the one know the name of your show and where they can find that at?
Sure, thanks for that. The podcast is called The Conscious Man 7, and you can find me pretty much everywhere. Spreaker. You can find me on Apple Podcasts. You can find me on Deezer. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube. I don't upload all of my podcasts to YouTube because the censorship is real, and you get strikes like whoa. So I tend to check to. It's real, man. I tend to put shorts on there, and then podcasts that are not so controversial. I put there as well. Then you can find me on Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, and Brighton, all of the normal platforms, because I'm trying to, spread it as far as wide as possible, because the things that I talk about are things that we definitely need to have in a public consciousness, because it's just getting crazier and crazier, and I think it's the right time for me to put my hat in the ring and start sharing the stuff that I know. So it's called The Conscious Man 7.
Conscious Man 7. Definitely go search it in your pod player or on any of those video platforms and give it a look, because every time we have a conversation with you, Todd, it is just the best. And we had you on over at the Cult of Conspiracy. You're going to be going on over there again. And yeah, we just love everything that you talk about. You get into a lot of the ancient knowledge that has seemingly been lost throughout time to push forward other different spiritual realms of thought, which are very boxing in, dare I say, and don't allow for this kind of knowledge to even peek through. Some people would listen to this and assume that's the work of the devil. That's the work of the great deceiver. That's the great work of the almighty snake in the Garden of Eden, right? But it's not necessarily so, right? I mean, there is great things that you can pull from all of the amazing Egyptian mysteries and the hieroglyphs and everything else. And you're here to try and, kind of sound the alarm on all that.
Yeah, basically. So what I would say is that the main thing for people to understand about when you're looking at these ancient texts and religious texts is that the key to deciphering which is, say, an extraterrestrial God, or even if you don't want to use that word, not the creator of the universe, right? Because I find that people tend to get really hooked, bogged down with words. And yes, words do have meaning, but the problem that we have is that we have one word for God is Jehovah, another one is Allah, and then the Christians think that Jesus is God. And because we have all these different words for quotation marks God, it tends to bog us down and box us and put us in a box, like you said. So what I would say is one of the real keys to understanding the God of the universe, the creator of the universe, source, is to look at the attributes and the energy. And Christ has some very good parables. And what I have realized is that Christ had to speak in parables because he had to protect the information. And this is why you always hear me talk about Christ a lot. But he was, in my humble opinion, the most psychologically sound human to ever walk the earth.
The great sage.
And, yeah, a great sage, right? And again, you see, even if you're using that word sage, people would get their panties in a twist and say, no, he's God. But this is what I say to people. He said straight that you can tell a tree by looking at its fruit. You judge a fruit by the tree. Now, in scripture, the tree means the person, and the fruit is the attributes or the actions or the consequences that came from that person. And what I tell people is that if you look at, say, for example, in Deuteronomy and in Numbers, you have some very, very heinous stuff. And I'm going to give some receipts because, I find that people, although even if you give receipts, some people won't believe you.
Are these Old Testament stories?
Yes.
Or okay?
Yeah.
See, that's where you'll get a line drawn, because a lot of Christians would say, well, that's Old Testament shit. That's not really what we just look at that for historical data and not necessarily what we believe. That's at least the Christians that I know. They say, oh, well, yeah, it doesn't match with what I believe of the world. That's the old ways. That's before Jesus came and wiped away everybody's sins and thinned the veil and, made it to where you didn't need to sacrifice and all that other jazz. So
is this an example of when the sequels were better than the first one?
No, it was worse. But this is the thing, right? This is why I say to Christians, okay, let's play devil's advocate here. That is still in your book. So that is still the history of your God. Right?
I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's the same God throughout the whole book, right? Like, that's the story.
So they say, according to them, that Jehovah, Yahweh, is God. And they're saying that Jesus is God. Okay, that's fine. So if they're one and the same, because they talk about the triune God, right? That means then that the God of the Old Testament, whether it is an Old Covenant or a New Covenant, is the same God that would be in the New Testament, because it is the same book. So you have to actually come with mental gymnastics to be able to outflip that statement, right? And backflip that statement. Because how can you say that the God of the New Testament and the God of the Old Testament are the same, but you completely disregard and throw out the things that happened in the past? Right?
Yeah.
Because if I go out there and I murder people, even if I am a reformed person, people will still say, but Todd, you're a murderer, right?
Yep.
That's an absolute fact, right? No, I may be a better person, but I did those things in the past. It's the same with this God. So
I feel the same way. And I like to look at, they do like to throw out a lot of the Old Testament. And by the way, this is not like to hate on Christians. It's just to have an open conversation, because I think that this is where a lot of people get stuck at, whenever you're talking about the Bible, but you only like one half of it or whatever. Well, what about in Genesis? That's literally the beginning of everything. And, I have a question for you just before, because it's on my mind. In the Bible, whenever it talks about, like, in the first, God created the universe and everything in 7 days or 6 days, and then he rested on the seventh, right? And it makes you wonder how long God was around before he decided to start creating shit.
This is a very good question, right? And like when you read the Nag Hammadi gives a little bit of insight into this. It doesn't give you timelines, but it says that God was the formless and was also the form. So basically he was nothing and everything at the same time. So the formless created the form, but the formless could not be acknowledged of its presence unless there was something to acknowledge him. So
it's basically thought then.
Yes. So basically the Gnostics are saying that in the beginning there was really nothing, but there was form and void, and the nothing was really everything, right?
Right.
So if there is nothing prior to the existence of the nothing, then in order for the source to manifest itself, he had to create the universe so the universe could create him. Make sense?
Oh yeah.
Good. So this is where you have the beginning and the end that exists at the same time, the alpha and the omega, right? And this is where you have the chicken and the egg. You have male and female. You have negative and positive. They both had to have coexisted at the exact same time, right? This is how the Gnostics portray it. So they're saying that after the source created the universe, he created derivatives of himself, right? So he created the first mystery, second mystery, the first power, the triple powers, Barbello, Zoe, Sophia, right? So all of these are derivatives of themselves. So this is why I said before that basically we are fractals of source, we're fractals of God, but we contain the whole of God, but we're just that piece. This is why I use the analogy of the water and the sea, because if the ocean is the whole, and you take a cup and you take out some of the ocean, well, what is in that cup is still the whole. It's just a fractal of it because it has the exact same attributes and properties, right? So what it is now is that we don't all the way the Gnostics describe it as eons, and eons seem to be time. However long that time is, we don't know. But what we do know is that the way they described it in the Bible as like days, that day, basically, there's no one day could be a billion years for God. We don't know. But what we do know is that our current science has shown us that basically things in the universe take an extremely long time to happen. And time for us, because we think linearly, time is actually not really linear, it's actually multidimensional, because we're getting into quantum physics here. So we exist at different dimensions. So who knows what time, but what I do realize is that there's a lot of sacred geometry involved. So you have a lot of special numbers, like 7 days. We have 7 days in the week. We have 7 chakras in the body, right? And 7 is also a number that's used in the construction of the Great Pyramids and stuff. Then you have the golden ratio, you have the Fibonacci, you have pi, you have the meter. So you have a lot of different measurements that are all encapsulated in the Great Pyramid of Giza. So there is numbers that are very, very important. You know, we have 7.86, which is the Schumann resonance, which is still important for human beings to even be sane, right? So what I would say is that we don't know exactly the time, but we do know is that sacred geometry is literally what creates the universe, because they're all about harmonics and frequencies. Makes sense?
You know, one thing I always wonder is that, like, how many times was everything created and then kind of like scrapped and then created and then scrapped until they kind of got it right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Just when you look at everything, it is just so perfect the way that it works with everything else. And as you were saying, the numbers and just certain spiral patterns and things like this, it's like when you look at these things, it's obvious that there is definitely some sort of intelligent design going on. But what I wonder is, like, how do we know this hasn't been, I don't know, maybe 20 times, 30 times, 40 times? Like, how many times has everything in the physical form been created and then destroyed and then created, you know what I mean, before he got it right, so to say? I guess if he could make a mistake the first few times.
And also, like, who knows that if we're even looking at the whole, if everything could be a fragment
Fractal,
of,
dude.
like a fractal of the entirety. So, for example, like, let's take just a glass cup, right? Just a glass cup, and in the reflection of that glass cup, let's make it be a window that the sun is shining through. Okay. So you're seeing that window and the sun shining through on the whole of that cup. Well, then you go and you drop that cup and it shatters everywhere. There's a fucking 1,000 little pieces that are dropped everywhere. But if you hold that cup up, or every single one of those fractals up in that same exact position that cup was, the whole of everything that you saw in the whole cup, you're now seeing in that fractal. Well, my question is that what makes us think that what we were seeing in the first place was the whole cup in the first place?
I love that.
That's a good question. And what we are starting to learn is that because they're different multiverses, they're different, you know, and your show is called Meta Mysteries. Meta, we have the metaverse. We had the metaverse in the movie with Doctor Strange, right? What they're really, I would say, hinting at us and showing us in the form of movies is that we exist at different planes. So, like, your higher self exists, is you that's passed through this journey several times, but is at a different level of consciousness, learning, experience that can remember. While we here now are now going through this and we're not remembering. So there's quite possible infinite amount of us, and what we are having on Earth is most likely something that's happened, several thousand times. We don't know. But what we do know is that there seems to be like a phenomenon where there are people that are able to connect with past lives, have dreams that they've seen. Well, I've connected to a past life already, so I know who I was 500 years ago, and who knows if I was here when the Atlanteans were here, when Atlantis was sunk. Because according to Dolores Cannon, all of us that are here on Earth were actually there during the time of Atlantis, and we have a lot of fear and trauma from that event, because the way it is described is like you had like mile-high waves that came and just destroyed the Earth, right? We had, according to the Ancient Secret of Life by Drunvalo Melchizedek, he's saying that they created a false Merkaba, and basically they ended up opening portals and were allowed the negative spirits from in the fourth dimension to come in, right? And then they had
said a false Merkaba.
Yeah, because the Merkaba is we have a Merkaba inside of us, our energetic body. So it's basically two triangles, two equilateral triangles on top of each other. Basically, the Star of David, which is basically the star on the Israeli flag, right? And
created by the Rothschilds, by the way.
Well, this is true. But the thing is, I would say is that this symbol is actually quite old and quite mysterious, because what my research has shown me is that everything that's sacred, they have completely inverted and bastardized to make bad. And basically, there's a part in the Bible which, because if you ask any Jew where the Star of David has come from, they actually can't tell you. But I can actually tell you in the Bible where to find it. It is in Amos chapter 5, verse 26 to 27. And it says, "You took up the tabernacle of Moloch and the star of your god Remphan, the images that you made to worship them." Right? Then there's another place where you can find that very similar quote, and that is in Acts 7:43. Again, same thing. It says, "You took up the tent of Moloch and the star of your god Remphan, the images that you made to worship, and I will send you into exile beyond Babylon." Now, the reason why I brought that up is that Remphan is that star, that same six-sided star, which is a hexagon, is actually coming from on top of the planet Saturn. So Remphan refers to the planet Saturn, and the star and the six-sided the hexagram, which is on the top of Saturn, is the pattern that was taken out. That is actually the Merkaba, right? That symbol. And that is supposed to be used in our energetic body when we spin those two triangles one clockwise and one counterclockwise. It creates this frequency that allows you to actually come in and out. And I mean that literally. Come into this dimension and come out, right? Because you cause your molecules and atoms to vibrate at a higher speed. Now, what has happened is that in Babylon, my research has shown me is that most of these things are where all it came up. Money was invented in Babylon. Religion was invented in Babylon. We know that Moloch was the god of Babylon, who was also Baal, who's also Bel, who is also Marduk, right? And Marduk is the extraterrestrial god, according to these Sumerian tablets, who is ruling this planet now. He went to war twice to fight for dominion of this planet. So all the things are attributed to him. In the book of Enoch, he's also referred to as Azazel. Azazel, he was the one who taught humans the art of war, how to make weapons He also taught the women how to face paint, which is really makeup. So Azazel, who then anointed himself as God and changed his name and title to Gadriel. Gadriel, you take off the rel, what are you left with? Gad. Gad became God.
G-A-D. Right? Yep.
G-A-D became G-O-D, right? So what Marduk has done is he's taken things that are sacred and good and inverted them into things that are not good, not positive, to be bad, right?
Basically Hitler with the swastika.
Yeah, because the swastika is found in the ancient Indus in the Indus Valley, in the Hindus, even the Jainism, they use that symbol up to today. Right?
Yeah, it's actually isn't it representative of like the wheel of life, because it really is just the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper that are going around in the sky, so it's kind of like the spokes of a wheel in the sky, right?
Yeah, it's a positive symbol.
And as far as like the inversion of certain symbols, that's something we actually just yesterday or day before, we had a guest on the cult, and Sean was on there too. And this guy, he had a near-death experience, but he's really like into the occult and stuff, which I love learning about. And he was talking about like how he's studying the Kabbalah, right? And he says that even in the Kabbalah, which is basically like Jewish mysticism, I believe, he says that the Star of David, or just the pentagram, basically, that you're never supposed to turn that pentagram upside down, because what it is that whenever you're drawing the pentagram for your rituals or whatever, you're supposed to start at the top. So it's like whenever you're drawing it, you're starting at the top, because it's said to be that you're drawing down that energy from the heavens down to you. And if you inverted that pentagram, now, whenever you go to start at that specific point, you're starting from the bottom and going up. You're essentially saying, I'm bringing hell up here to be with me, rather than pulling down from the heaven. But yeah, it's pretty crazy, dude. Like how all that shit really works. Like, it just blows my mind, honestly. Like I love learning about all that, because we know that it's all symbolism, especially if you listen to our episodes on the Magician with Philip Cooper. It's all symbolism. He goes even as far as to say, like, who cares how far the planets are away? Who cares if they're solid or if they're just luminaries or whatever? It doesn't matter. Like, all that matters is the symbolism behind it, and how that symbolism, that information appears in your subconscious. That's all that really matters. So, whether you want to sit there and believe that you're actually getting energy, or you're getting some kind of shower of heaven or whatever, whenever you're doing it, as long as your subconscious mind knows that's all that matters. Whether it's actually happening, who gives a fuck, right?
I tend to agree, and I was even talking to one of my good mates recently, and he is more inclined that the Earth is flat, and I am more inclined to say that it's more a toroid. But what we do agree on is that no one knows 100%, and he said it could be used as a tool to actually cause separation amongst people, to cause us to fight and to argue. And like what you're saying, and taking us away from the actual real purpose, which is to basically know thyself, to walk the path inside of you, right? Because this is an inside job. And I very much agree with the statement where you're saying signs and symbols are what rule the world. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I am able to, track a lot of these Anunnaki extraterrestrial beings is because of their signs and symbolism. Because, like, for sure, Marduk is an absolute thirst for child sacrifice, pedophilia. He's also very hungry for ritual bloodletting. So all of these wars and everything are all basically sacrifices for him. Abortions. It basically, what was happening of old has just transformed into another form. And what they're trying to do now is bring back those rituals into the public domain and to be in our face.
Oh,
this is why they put it in the movies.
And they absolutely work because they've been doing it for so long. And obviously all of the stories and the energy that are encapsulated into those old gods and all those ancient rituals and stuff like that is a real thing. Like, I know that some people will look into magic or witchcraft or whatever, like any form of divination whatsoever, where you're communicating with the above, the below, the all around, whatever, right? Like, it sounds wild. And to be honest, I don't know how. Like, I'll get your opinion on it. I don't know how sacrificing something gives me a blessing from another realm. Like, is it because that your subconscious knows that you just sacrificed something so that now you're worthy of receiving something because that's in the promise? I mean,
that would be my guess.
Right. Like, is it you manifesting it because you know that you did what you had to do in order to carry out the ritual? Like, what is your opinion on that?
Well, what I would say is we don't know 100% because, and the reason why I say that is that there are things that we can't really explain. The same way you can do, okay, for example, you can do manifestation, you can do affirmations, you can create things, right? Mm. Now, we don't understand how that actually takes place. We don't know the actual, say, like science. We can't come and bring like this physical evidence to say, well, because I had a positive thought about manifesting this thing and that thing manifested, we can't bring like science and hard data to prove it. But what I would say is that when you look at it from that side and then transfer it to the negative side, there seems to be energies that can be tapped into, and certain rituals and protocols and incantations can open these portals of energy to come in and then, do their thing. So it seems like if like these torturing of babies, child sacrifice, pedophilia, cannibalism, just human sacrifice seems to open certain portals. And because these beings, these Anunnaki beings, some people won't call them fallen angels, watchers, whatever word, they're all really the same thing. They have this knowledge on actually how to perform, because just as you can have incantations to bring out negative things, you can actually do incantations to do positive things. So there's a part in the Emerald Tablet of Thoth, and there is this quotation marks prayer that you can recite in order to bring in wisdom. And I've said this prayer probably over 400 or 500 times, so I kind of know it off the top of my head. I can't remember exactly where, but it goes like this: Almighty Spirit of light that shines through the cosmos, draw my flame closer in harmony to thee. Lift up my fire from out of the darkness, magnet of fire that is one of the all. Or lift up my soul, mighty and potent, child of the light, not turn thee away. Draw me in power to melt in thy furnace, one of all things and all things in one, fire of the life strain and one with the brain. Now, Thoth says that specific prayer is to invoke wisdom and bring wisdom into your body, right?
As you were saying that, I just pumped that into the crystal on top of the tarot deck, so we're getting a good reading later, bro.
Shit, dude.
Really?
Oh, hell yeah.
I was gonna say, no wonder Todd's always bringing the dropping the knowledge on us, dude. Be saying that shit every day? Shit.
Dude, I almost literally say before I go to bed almost every single night. I swear.
So this was something that Thoth taught in the Emerald Tablets, you're saying?
Yes, that is absolutely in the Emerald Tablets. And I recorded it, and I like I said, I found the Emerald Tablets in, let me see, 2019. No, sorry, 2018. And I've been saying that almost every single night for 6 years.
So I want to get your opinion on this, and I might have asked you it in a previous episode, but I'm just curious. I am somebody that absolutely believes in the Emerald Tablets and the Emerald Tablet. I mean, yes. Maybe they're two separate things. Maybe some of them got lost. Maybe more information was channeled on top of that. I'm not sure how that works. But what's your opinion whenever you start looking into the book called The Emerald Tablets from Thoth the Atlantean, or whatever it's called? It was written by Maurice Doreal, and some people say, I don't know if that's a legitimate form of documentation because it was channeled information. I'm somebody that absolutely believes that you can receive some kind of prominent information via channeling. We see it all the time with Bashar, dude. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that Bashar's full of shit because he's telling me things that every time I listen to a video or anything, it blows my mind. And so who's to say that it's bullshit because he's getting that information literally downloaded? We all have downloads. Like, so what are your thoughts on the Maurice Doreal version of the Emerald Tablets?
Well, I would say is that what we do know is that the Emerald Tablets themselves were created through alchemy in Egypt. We know that the Emerald Tablets were taken from Egypt and they were found in Teotihuacan in 1925 under the Pyramid of the Sun, right?
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yes, and I actually met a guy because I went to Teotihuacan a couple of times. And long story short, he is a native there and born in Teotihuacan. His grandfather, basically, and he still speaks the native language. And he told me so many stories that basically people don't even know. And they found that the Emerald Tablets under Teotihuacan, the Pyramid of the Sun. And then that was then translated to what we have now, right?
Oh my God.
And the Emerald Tablets are, when they're green, right? And from the accounts that I've read, it says that there's an energetic frequency that comes out of the Emerald Tablets that when you're in its presence, it is palpable, right?
Oh, I wonder what frequency that thing's pumping out.
It's amazing. And the language that is written in is an very old Semitic language because it's not cuneiform and it's not hieroglyph Egyptian. So it's an old Semitic language. And those languages had frequencies as well in its speech, right? So it is the Emerald Tablets, like, honestly, dude, Thoth said that you need to listen to the tablets 100 times in order to get all the knowledge out of them. I've only done about 5 times. I've read the book. And
yeah,
every time
I've listened to it once. I listened to it on audiobook, but yeah, one time.
Me too.
And the whole time, bro, I couldn't stop. I just had to listen to it the entire way through in one sitting because it was just like, I got to know what happens. I got to keep going. I like this shit is absolutely crazy. Now that's the Maurice Doreal version. So I don't know. I mean, is that what have you read that version?
No, I've only read unless what I read was the Maurice version, but the one that I listened to is pretty much the one that Billy Carson has in his book, The Emerald Tablets. So that's the same version that I have read or listened to.
Oh, got you. Okay. Yeah, I bought the Emerald Tablets, the compendium of the Emerald Tablets by Billy Carson, and I haven't gotten through it yet. But now that Sean is editing, I got a little bit more time. Maybe I'll be able to go ahead and actually read it.
There you go, dude.
I'm sure it's awesome. And actually, me and Electro Nick, we're going to be going to go see his movie. He's got like a movie or a documentary that's going to be coming out.
Yeah, he got a movie coming out. Yeah.
And me and Electro Nick actually bought me tickets to go watch that. It was a great birthday present. So thank you, Electro Nick. That's actually coming up here in this Sunday. We're going to go watch that. I'm fucking stoked about
I've been seeing stuff about it, dude. That's fucking awesome, dude. Shout out Nick.
Dude, Electro Nick stud.
Man. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And you know, this is the thing, right? Like, I was talking to a lady last week called Barbara Whiff, and she channeled Albert Einstein and stuff. And she has something called the conflict revolution. Now, I asked her, like, how do you know that what you're channeling is basically legit? She says, well, you look at the energy. You look at the fruits, you look at what it's telling you, and this is why when I listen to the Emerald Tablets, I am blown away all the time as if I've never heard it, because Although at the same time, when I've given it to people to listen, a lot of them come back and tell me it doesn't make sense. They can't understand it. Now, I don't know if that is because I've read so many books and because I've gone down this path of trying to find out this stuff that it makes so much sense to me.
You're already familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. What I would say is that book is packed with knowledge. And if that prayer, that's the wisdom prayer. What I recited was the wisdom prayer. There are other prayers in there as well, but that one stood out to me the most because at that time, I was now really coming into all of this information and I wanted to make sense of it because it just was like so confusing. And I guess now thinking about it on the spot, I have probably attained a little bit of wisdom because I'm able to recall so many things, right? So
for sure, man. You were saying that somebody channeled Albert Einstein.
Yeah, she
So what does I wanted to ask you, like, what does the Emerald Tablets have any kind of information on channeling, things like that, or consciousness itself, as far as being able to pull down that information?
Oh yes, it does. So basically, Thoth says that I walk I walk as a man, but unlike a man. What that means is that he is able to walk amongst men, but he doesn't live like a man. He transfers his consciousness from one avatar body to the next. And he says that he's done it 100 times 100, which is 10,000 years, basically, that he was able to live. Because one avatar body lasts for 100 years. So he says 100 times 100. So 10,000 years just alone. Now, according to the Egyptian scriptures, he was a priest king for 16,000 years in Egypt, in the land of Cam, right? He also says that you can basically, he says that listen to this. He said that when he left his body, he went through the halls of Amenti and he went to meet the great dweller, right? And the great dweller gave him information and told him what to do. Then he also went and met other people from other worlds. And he says that they were creating worlds and giving consciousness to their creation, right? Whoa. So it means then that Sith Thoth is here at Ascended Mastery. They've got masters that are even higher than him, right? Because he's saying that these guys literally manifested worlds from their thoughts. That is next level.
Oh,
right?
Dude, that's what our girl Tiffany Haney was saying. She's like, yeah, I think that we can literally create our own universes. And I don't know.
I mean, choose to ascend that high, though. Some people choose not even to go that high. That's what she said.
Yeah, they get stuck in the material world, and whether it's, really could be anything. A lot of people get addicted or just love this material plane more than trying to ascend to a higher consciousness. Which, hey, I get it. I mean, this place is awesome. It's a great playground. But yeah, I'm all in on trying to eventually be a leader of a fucking universe, bro. That would be sweet. Like the sweetest thing I can even imagine. Like already, like imagine, I don't know, buying an island. That sounds like the coolest thing you could ever do. That's an island on a planet inside of a universe. You know what I mean? Like that's nothing compared to a whole universe.
But can you imagine you just creating it from your thoughts? No, listen to this. I think it is actually quite possible. And the reason why I said that is that if you hear the locals in Cambodia, that they said that they're gods for the pyramid of Anawar. Basically, they said that their god produced the pyramid in a day. Now, the only way you would be able to produce it in a day is if you manifested it through thoughts. So I'm playing devil's advocate here and saying, well, why then, if the local people in Cambodia, that their gods, according to them, built the pyramid in Anawar, why, and we know that these are basically seeing beings, well, it's quite possible that they could have manifested the pyramids the exact same way and built them through thought.
I mean,
Holy
even think biblically too. Like the faith of a mustard seed can move a mountain. Well, imagine if you had the faith of a universe. You'd literally create that mountain. You know what I mean?
Dude, imagine the visualization skills you would have to have for that. You know what I mean?
Facts. Because even look at Christ. Christ said, "It's through your faith you are healed. Go forward and sin no more." So that means that Christ didn't actually heal people. People healed themselves because they believed that they would be healed if they were in the presence of this man. And some Christians would say, "Oh, that's total BS." But Joe Dispenza has proved, and that through science, the placebo and the nocebo effect. So you can actually heal yourself and make yourself sicker through your thoughts and beliefs.
And
right?
just imagine if you had some sort of ailment and Jesus just came out of nowhere, he's all glowing and shit and just like touches your arm. I mean, I think I would feel as though I'm definitely healed.
Dude, yeah, I got a story for you, actually. I used to work at this pizza joint back in Baton Rouge. It's actually in Prairieville, outside of Baton Rouge. And it's called Rotolo's. And I worked there for 4 or 5 years, something like that. But and I think it was in my very first year ever working there. There was this guy, this Christian person, devout in his faith, came in and started talking to us and trying to spread the gospel as they do. Very, very nice man. I really liked, what he was saying. Loved his vibe as well. Like people,
positive vibes,
dude.
Yeah.
There are some like super Christian people that get it. You know what I'm saying? Like they get the whole vibe around it, and you're just like, oh, okay, I see how so many people believe in that, especially like whenever it's emanating from a person who is just such a hardcore believer, like no matter what, like that's where magic happens, in my opinion. But anyway, this guy comes in and he's talking all the gospel and everything, and he's like, I would actually like to place hands on you and heal you, because there was this, not on me, but this woman that I was working with. And because she was talking about, like, she used to play volleyball or something like that back in the day, and she like threw her hip out or something along those lines. And he goes, well, I'd actually like to, put hands on you and let the power of Christ come in and heal you. And she goes, oh, all right. I mean, you can try it, And she, she's not like, she was a Christian, but kind of like a lukewarm kind of Christian. I believe some things, not all things. I get it. So she believed, this guy was going to be able to heal her, because, I mean, this dude was like spitting facts after facts, like just how well read you are on all this ancient Egyptian shit. Like that's how he was with the Christian stuff. Put hands on her, said a prayer. Dude, she was walking without a limb after that. Like she was totally fine after, like, so the power that embodies is absolutely real. Especially if you believe it, and especially if you got somebody who is actually, like talking about it in a way that you feel as if it is a message coming from above. You know what I mean? And you're right, as far as, maybe Jesus didn't heal people. Maybe those people healed themselves. That's exactly what Dolores Cannon said the entire time. She would have these miraculous healings throughout, past life regressions. And some people would get rid of their cancer even. Some people would get rid of arthritis. Some people would get rid of diabetes, you name it. Like they were just getting rid of it, because she found that it was some kind of emotion that those people were holding on to. And that's what created the illness in the first place. So if you can go in there and you believe, all right, well, now that I have I've completely rid myself of all that negativity or whatever that, basically manifested itself into this illness, then you can get rid of it. Because if you're the one that, made yourself sick or made yourself whatever, then you have obviously the power to be able to heal yourself. And I think, dude, Dolores Cannon, Jesus, all these great quote unquote healers, they're just propagating, not propagating, that's the wrong word. They're essentially, just allowing the other person to believe that they're the healers, but it's internally, it's the people healing themselves, I think.
Yeah. What it looks like is like these people, these sages, these yogis, they exude this sort of like confidence when you're in their presence, that your subconscious picks it up straight away, right? So even if the person may tell you that, okay, you can try, I don't know, because this subconscious picks up on these signals and this energetic frequency that's emanating from that person, the subconscious will end up taking over and doing the work. Because think about it, right? When people take this pill, yes, they're believing it, but it is the subconscious belief that's actually creating the nocebo and the placebo effect. Because the subconscious is where, basically, the subconscious is called the mind of God. And that is where you have all your creative power and you have all your manifesting power. And this is why, like, there's this lady called Reagan Hillier, and she says that you need to, we as humans, we have this thing wrong in how to create and manifest. We think that is 80% of physically doing the work to do the thing. So for example, if you want to make loads of money, we are conditioned to think that you have to put 80% or even 100% in the physical action of the work. She's saying, no, it is 80% mental, 20% physical doing it, because you're not only working hard, but you're working smart. Because if you have the right mindset, what's going to happen is that you're going to make the right choices. You're going to exude the right energy, and that energy is going to come back to you, right? So she has some specific protocols that she teaches, and she gets you to get right into your subconscious to heal the subconscious fears. And these are at like super deep levels, right? That you have to get into. Like, dude, big CEOs pay her $1 million a year to help them to level up businesses. That's how good she is, right? And she takes them through these protocols of really tapping into your subconscious and getting to the point where it's like, it's almost like you get to your pure child, your pure inner child, where you've stripped away all of the baggage, the fear, the doubt, the uncertainty, and you get there. And once you get to your inner child in its purest form, subconsciously, then you're able to build on top of that now by doing other protocols now that will bring in that energy into your field. Because, like I said, there are things that we can't explain with actual diagrams and physics and maths, but there are things that you end up feeling. And what is going to be the next level up in our human consciousness is our ability to tap into our intuition. And this is feeling. Now, women have a better ability at that than men inherently, because men are more logical, men are more facts driven, men are more black and white, and women tend to have this intuition feeling. I have been with women where they said, you know, Todd, I don't really trust that guy. You know what I mean? He seems a bit dodgy to me. And I'm like, oh, no, man, he's all right, man. He's cool. And long story short, this guy ended up stealing money from me. And when I thought about it, I was like, but how did she pick that up just meeting him once? And that's the thing that women have.
It's all
but what happened?
Subtleties, man.
It's just these little subtleties. But what it is now is that ability is going to be on steroids for all of us, right? Where you are going to be able to, like, literally, according to your feeling now, you're going to be able to, and that's coming through your heart now, you're going to have this pure love. And in the love energy, you're just going to be able to manifest and create and attract and level up. So this is where Haley is saying it is 80% mindset, 20% the doing. And there's actually a similar principle in fitness, where it's 80% nutrition, 20% for the actual training. And there are a lot of people, and even me in the beginning when I was first starting to train, I used to focus 100% on the training and not so much on the nutrition. And I got a certain level, but I just couldn't get to the other level. And for years and years and years, I was beating myself up. My mate saying, but Todd, you can't be eating Frosted Flakes, mate. You know what I mean? You can't be.
I was talking with the Hot Pocket last night. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what I'm saying? He says, he says you can't be eating these sausages and stuff, bro. You know what I mean? All of this bread that you're eating. He said, bro, what you doing, man? And it was only where I got to the point of total frustration that I was like, okay, man, I can just give it a go. And it appears that this is how humans we tend to grow and to learn. We have to get to a point where we either go through a traumatic experience, or we get so sick and tired of being sick and tired and so frustrated that you've had your tether with it, and okay, I'm gonna try something new. And this is where it seems, but the you have to get to that point to be able to want to say, okay, let me clean out the baggage inside of me so that I'm working 80% on the mindset. Then once you have the right mindset, it means then you're making the right choices, you're putting your energy in the right places at the right time. Because life and business are all about investing the time, the energy, and the money when it is the right time to do it, and not chasing. And this is one of the problems that we have in this present incarnation. We chase too much instead of attracting and letting it come to us,
Right. That makes sense, I guess, at a level of, as far as putting the physical things up on a higher pedestal, you know what I mean? It's something tangible seems to be like something that, you would want to go for because, you can hold on to it. You could see it physically, but it's the mind is underestimated, man. You know what I mean? I feel like we need to work on our minds. If we all just worked on our minds and understood the subtleties and the little drawbacks that we have, like I'm sure we all have some kind of blockage that's stopping us from doing whatever it is, and we're not even aware that thing is there. You know what I'm saying? And so maybe you don't even think that you have a quote unquote mental issue, but I think it would pay off, you know what I mean, to go to talk to somebody just to see how your mind is doing. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure there's something there that you're not even aware of.
Dude, we all have mental issues, all of us. And
Right.
seriously, like Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that the cause of all human suffering is attachments. Attachments to things, attachment to people, attachment to places, and attachment to outcomes.
Attachment to emotions as well.
Pardon? Attachments to attachments.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, right? I've read several books and I have a lot of understanding about a little bit of things. And what I would say is that even though you may understand something, you don't really know it. And knowing is a difference from understanding. Understanding is the mental part where it's like, okay, this makes sense. But knowing is with every fiber, every particle, every nadi in your body knows this thing, right? And recently, I had that aha moment. And my mate has a saying that I'm actually going to put on some merch because I got a merch store as well, but we'll talk about it later. And he has this saying, truth isn't learnt, truth is realized. And I had a realization that one of the things that was holding me back is attachment. And part of my business is that obviously I'm a fitness trainer, and obviously you have to sell your business, right? You have to sell your service. And one of the mentors for selling that I have, and he has this really, really good saying. He says, some will, some won't, so what? Next. And he said that the most successful salesmen in life have that mentality. And that is very much along the lines of the Bhagavad Gita and not having attachments. Because if you go to sell, and you want to sell your service, your product, whatever, and you are so attached to the outcome of selling, if you don't get that sale, that's going to shatter you. It is just like, let's put it into another form so people can understand social dynamics between men and women. So if a man approaches a girl and he's trying to, get to know her and stuff, like, if he holds on to she's the only girl in the world mentality, consciousness, right? He's going to portray that to her and she's going to reject him. So what's going to happen is if he's rejected, that shatters his world, right? So this is where you get people now that may become stalkers, people that would have slight mental issues, people that are, girls would say, a bit weird, because one of my other mentors said that person has one-itis, right? Because the attachment to that particular girl. No, I just gave 2 examples. There are other examples that I can give, but all of us, including myself, have attachments. And I started to recently, and it's mad, right? Because like, I have known this, I've seen it, I was told this in a Bufo ceremony, but now I've realized it, and I start to check my behavior now. Whereas like, hold on a minute, well, doesn't really matter. And then there's another a book that I read called The 4 Agreements. Have you ever heard of it? The 4 Agreements?
No.
Very, very good book. I can't remember the name of the guy that wrote it. Let me just check it here. 4 Agreements.
So you said during a Bufo toad ceremony, like
yes,
DMT?
Yep. Yeah.
How was
Don Miguel
that?
Ruiz? Don Miguel Ruiz wrote The 4 Agreements, and this experience was mad for me. So long story short, my mate was studying to be a shaman. So he had to get in his like reps, so ceremonies, you know? And a couple of months prior, so the month before, I had read the Bhagavad Gita, and the month prior, I had read the Saint Germain trilogy series of the I Am, the Magic Presence, and Unveiled Mysteries. So then I smoked the first pipe. It was okay, but it wasn't really that profound. The second pipe, dude, it was next level. Like, I literally, and I've said this on your show before, both your shows, the voice spoke to me. The voice came in a huge way and said to me, Todd, why do you think about yourself the way you think about yourself? No, why do you think negatively about yourself? I said, I don't know. No, this is a full-blown conversation in my head with me, with my higher self asking me questions, and myself that I am conscious of is replying to my higher self all in my head. Dude, this was next level. I said to him, myself, I don't know. So my higher self asked me, so what happens when you think negative about yourself? I said, well, I feel bad. He said, okay. He says, so what happens after that? I said, well, I think more negative about myself and I feel worse. He says, okay, and what happens after that? I feel worse after that. He says, and then what happens after that? I feel even worse. He says, so why do you continue to think negatively about yourself? And dude, it was so profound that I couldn't have an answer. So when I came out of the trip, I just looked at my face, my mate, with just this blank face. He says, dude, you all right? I says, I don't know. I says, that was intense, that I need some time to integrate, right? And there's and the reason why I mentioned the I Am discourse is that Saint Germain says that your thoughts and your feelings are the 2 most powerful creative powers that you have. And he says that what happened, he says that thoughts only become real when they're clothed in feelings, right? He says that mastery of oneself is to be able to completely detach the feelings from the thoughts. Because he said that you will still have those thoughts, but if you are able to separate the feeling from the thought, it means that that thought will just stay as a thought and it won't become real. Because there was a story even in the I Am discourse that at first I couldn't understand, but now I do. When Saint Germain had taken one of his students, I think it was Lady Nada, to the where all the masters were meeting. She was so happy to see him, and he basically told her to not express emotion of her seeing him. No, he told her this telepathically, right? And she said, and because she said, look, I had to control myself. And I was thinking about why, but being happy is a positive feeling. But then it made sense. It's the attachment to that feeling that you would get with that person. So say, suppose that person does something to you that you don't like. All that positive feeling that you're attached to is going to give you a massive disappointment. So you're attached to the feeling you have with that person. It is just like if you meet a girl, you start dating the girl, everything is really great in the beginning. That feeling you have with her, oh, it's like this and the next. And as the relationship goes on, she may start to do and say things that you're like, give you frustration. And it's because you're still holding on to the attachment that you had in the beginning with her. Now, it's okay to have communication, but you have to separate yourself from the feeling. Because if not, the feeling that you have, which is in the past, is going to control how you act and react.
Overpower, right?
Correct. So you have to be able to separate from the feeling and look at how things are. This is why men and women stay in abusive relationships, because they're attached to the feeling that they had when the person was good. And their belief is that, well, I can get back that feeling. This is why circle back and say, this is why Krishna said that the cause of all human suffering is attachments. And it's only recently that all of these things started to click for me. And I'm like, wow. So I have actually been self-sabotaging for years and years and years and not realizing it. And it takes great mastery and skill. So in the 4 agreements, which I mentioned by Don Miguel Ruiz, the 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word, don't assume things, don't take things personally, and always give your best. Now, the part with don't take things personally is very, very important, because this is along the lines of attachment. So if you just get feedback from someone, because when people tell you things, most of the time it's just feedback, and it's how you take it. If you take it personally, you're going to think that the person is attacking you. So what happens is you're going to act and react because of you taking it personally. But if you're able to separate your feelings from what's being said and sit back and say, okay, does this thing make sense? Because you only get triggered if something is actually true, right? So if someone is telling you something, you have to have the ability to sit back and say, hold on a minute. Is this true? Does this make sense? Does this person have a point? Okay. And even if you're getting triggered, you just let the feeling be there. You detach yourself from the feeling and say, okay, I'm feeling a bit upset. I'm feeling a bit triggered here, but just let the feeling be there and separate from the feeling. So you're being like the observer. So a bit like in quantum physics, you have the observed, the observer, and the observer. So you're observing the feeling that you're having. This allows you now to actually analyze and say, okay, I'm feeling this way because, well, maybe the person has a point. Maybe it made me feel a bit bad. Maybe because it triggered memories from the past and this. And then you start to get to realize, hold on, where is it coming from? And this is the level that we're going to have to start to get, because things are speeding up and things are only going to get more difficult. And we're going to have to be able to have this sort of ability to discern, right? And to know thyself enough to be able to separate from the feelings, to be able to make the right choices and not get triggered, because we need to have a bit more stoicism inside of us, because at the moment, we just look at how politics is run. Politics is run just off of pure feelings, right? And these people are able to hijack a consciousness through the hive mind and make people hate other people. People become zealots, which is why I say that politics is a religion, government is a religion. This is why I say the 3 main religions that rule the world are the religion of money, religion of government, and organized religion. And all they have all something in common. They really manipulate your feelings, right? Because they know that feelings are powerful. which is what Saint Germain says. Your thoughts and feelings are the two biggest, most powerful creative powers you have. And your thoughts only become real when they're clothed in feelings.
Dude, I'll tell you what, like,
awesome.
I know, like, for me personally, and this is something that I kind of recently learned about myself and why, like, I'm gonna be real with you, dude. Like, I've had like a fair amount of relationships in my life, and they never really seem to stick because I'm always like let down as a result of them, in a sense, because every time I go and date somebody, I always assume that they can be the best version of themselves, and that if they are the best version of themselves, then they can evolve into that form. And so, like, you know, I'm dating, or I'll go and date somebody, and then they don't, you know, evolve into that form, or they don't even try and take the steps to evolve into that form. And maybe it's just I have this strong imagination of what they can be because I see, you know, the potential in them or something along those lines. And then I'm let down. But then I got to remind myself, like, yo, I'm the one that's like building up this imaginary thing in my mind about what they could be, not even taking into account of what they want or whatever they want to become. And so, you know, it's a weird dichotomy, what the mind is capable of doing, and how it can imagine things. And I think that it's good to see the best in people and the best potential of certain people and stuff like that, but also not to become so attached to that to where it completely ruins, you know, your feelings or your anything about how you look at that person. And I think that you're absolutely right. Those attachments, dude, they're poisonous.
Yes, I suffer from the same thing as well. In terms of dating girls and having the exact same thing where you see the potential, and you know you're expecting them to, you know, like improve and, you know, make certain steps to better themselves, and you're seeing the potential, and just like you said, you know, it doesn't work out, and then you're frustrated because of the attachment you have, right? And like I said, I only really realized it recently. That when I say realized, like every part of my body was like, yeah, this is what I do. So like my mindset has changed like completely. Now we're like, dude, I don't even get upset. How should I put it? I work hard on not to get upset anymore. I work hard on, like, when I try to go for something and it doesn't work out, I'm like, okay, what can we learn from that? And okay, if it wasn't meant to be, you know, then there's something else that's going to be there. So what is that thing, right? So I'm really working hard to change how I look at things, because one of the things that I'm starting to realize, you just have to accept how things are and what is. And I think that one of the issues that we have as humans is that that's something that we struggle to do, right? Accepting things for how they are instead of how we want them to be, or how things could be, but what they are. And
that starts with ourselves too, man.
And it starts with ourselves, right? Because what I am realizing is that, you know, a lot of people in the, like, you say, oh, like, I'm working on myself, but what does that actually really mean? And it's just like a cliche statement that a lot of people make. But for me, working on yourself is actually knowing yourself, know what actually triggers you, and how to handle yourself when you're triggered, right? Because if you start to get triggered, you have to be able to say, okay, all right.
Become the observer.
Right. Like, I can choose to act in this way, or I can choose to act in that way. And I mean, that does not say that you're not supposed to have boundaries. But what it is now is that because you are working on yourself so much, you have so much love for yourself that you have boundaries. And your boundaries, you have to respect your boundaries. So if one boundary is X, and you're saying, listen, excuse me, you can't do X, because if you do X, then I will just walk. No matter how you feel about that situation or that person, if that person has crossed your boundaries repeatedly and there's absolutely no sign that they're ever going to stop, you must leave. I know it's hard, but you must leave, because it means then that what's going to happen is that you are going to only frustrate yourself through the attachment of like, oh, things could get better. And what if things don't get better? Who's to blame? You. You are to blame because you stuck in there, right?
All because of your attachment that you had to that person before they crossed that boundary, right?
Absolutely.
Dude,
and it's hard because feelings are powerful, man. But
oh yeah, dude. Well,
it's mastery.
And as far as like knowing thyself or knowing yourself, like this goes all the way back to like ancient Greek. You know what I mean? And then you get into like, I'm looking this up, and this is actually Socrates, who is maybe one of the first ones that says to know thyself. But it goes back to ancient Greek and the precinct of Delphi, which is pretty interesting. But it says, according to Socrates, true wisdom is knowing what you do not know. So an essential part of knowing yourself must be recognizing the limits of your own wisdom and understanding, knowing what you do genuinely know, and knowing what you have yet to learn.
You don't know what you don't know, dude.
You don't know what you know.
I knew we were onto something, dude.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, because, you know, it's the things that you don't know, right? Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful, you know?
Pretty crazy, dude. And even Pythagoras said, man, know thyself, then thou shalt know the universe and God. Damn.
Doesn't it seem like something so simple, but like we've made it so hard that we had to like relearn this type of stuff? It just seems so fundamental, but yet we make it hard, dude.
Yeah,
it's because of all the religions that we have, right? Because what religion it has done, and it has put an intermediary between yourself and source. And what it is that according to the Sumerian tablets, these beings came here to use the earth for its resources, created us. Then they were like, oh, hold on a minute. These guys can be really good slaves. Let us just like manipulate them and get them to worship us. So they were filled with ego, and then they transferred all of that egotistical stuff onto us, right? And then we ended up passing that on to our children, and then their children's children and children's children. So the indoctrination came really from them. So they broke a massive, massive cosmic law where they actually created beings when they shouldn't have. But then the consequence, what they did is that they introduced all of these regressive ways of being, right? Only because they want to have the reverence from another species, right? And what's happened now is that religion, whether it's the religion of money, the religion of God, organized religion, and the religion of government, it has manipulated our consciousness to think that we need a savior. This is really the real crux of it. They have injected a savior complex into our consciousness. All the religions that I know about, maybe there's some that don't have, but from what I have researched, all these religions have a savior that's supposed to come back and save the world and get you to, like, the thing is, the classic in Christianity is that what people don't realize is that Christ said, pick up your cross and follow me. Now that is both literal and figurative. And what does the cross symbolize? The cross symbolizes death. Okay. What is the death? It is the death of your old self, right? This is where he said you have to die to this world. So some people may have to physically die. Others may just have to figuratively die. But you die to the old way of being. You die to the hologram that you've created of yourself, right? And the self that you've created is not even really real. You need to pick up the cross, follow in the path, and walk the path, the narrow path that few find. This is what he said, the path is narrow and few find it. Fun fact for you. The early followers of Yeshua called themselves followers of the way. They were never called Christians in the beginning.
I forgot about that. That's right.
Yep. They said we were followers of the way. And this is the thing. The word, the truth, the way, and the life is one word in Hebrew. Torah, Torah, Torah. But it's through the translation that it came about, that the truth, the way, and the life. Now, that's what Torah means. But they were followers of the way. Is the way to talk, the way to think, the way to act, the way to do things. And the church was basically like how we are having here. We're coming here, we're exchanging consciousness. We can be teaching each other to heal, how to manifest, how to get rid of fears and traumas, right? So in reality, technically in quotation marks, this would be like how in the beginning, the church was. Because the church was never an actual physical building where you're going in and paying tithings to pay for the priest and his way of life. It was people getting around, teaching each other energy healing, Reiki, the sacred arts, Qigong, you know what I mean? All of these kind of stuff, breath work. That was what the church was, right? And it would just be people coming together and say, hey, like, I learned this cool new thing, right? So like, I read in this book this, and like, okay, let's try it. You know what I mean? So that's how it was. But what's happened is that religion, in the broad sense of the word, has came in and acted as an intermediary, right? And as I've said before, the word religion comes from the Latin word religare. Religare means to hold or to bind or to thwart forward progress of. So religion has thwarted, bound, and held back the minds of its followers from seeing the actual true gospel, which just means the good news, which just means, hey, listen, guys, talk like me, walk like me, do what I do, and you'll be like me. And to prove that point, Christ said, greater things shall ye do. So if he's saying greater things ye shall do, he's saying, hey, guys, I only just came here to show you, but y'all gonna be better than me, man. You're like, actually, you all are better than me. Right. This is why when he was talking to the Jews, he says, isn't it in your scripture, not mine, yours, that says that ye are gods? And that's, from memory, I think that is in Psalm 82, verse 1. And I think from memory, it goes, as God was sitting around the round table of gods, how long shall ye persecute the weak and oppress the poor? Right? I think it's Psalm 82. And it says, as God was sitting around the round table of gods. This is what Christ said to them. Doesn't it say in your scripture that ye are gods? And they got vexed. They called it blasphemy. But if he's repeating what is written in their book, then how can that be? That is very similar to like today. If someone says something and you repeat that this person said that, or they wrote it in the book, they can produce all these ist and ism, that's racist, or that's anti-Semitism, or this some ism or ist word, you know what I mean, to describe what you are, right? And how can that be if you're just saying, well, this body said that? It's the same consciousness. So it shows you that even that same consciousness existed 2,000 years ago. And today it's gotten worse because the three main religions that control the world has created a false matrix. And it has us like with this savior complex that it makes us think that we are very unworthy. Because just to think about it, right? Look at the Christian philosophy that God loved us so much that he sent his only begotten son. So basically, according to Christianity, the ethos is, I don't have to do any work on myself. Yeshua came here, he saved me, and I believe in him, so I'm saved. But what about healing your fears and your traumas? What about working on your subconscious mind? What about actually like learning how to like create, manifest, attract, right?
advance, right?
That is
Advanced,
absolutely one of the traps of it too. Like I hear it and I see it all the time, dude. Whenever, I hear that, like, well, Jesus came and he rescued us, and we're now safe because all you got to do is believe in him, then you get to heaven and all that fun jazz. And but the problem is that there can only be one perfect one, and we're never going to be him. So don't even try. Like, forget that. Like, don't even try. You're never going to be perfect. You're never going to figure it out. There's only been one person to ever do it. And I mean, there's a reason why he was the only person. But there's cause and effect. And I think that a lot of people don't think about it like this, because if you assume that you can never be perfect because there's only ever been one perfect being, then you're kind of giving yourself an out for being, sucky a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to be somebody that just says, oh, well, I know that there was already a perfect one, and as long as I believe in him, then I'm going. Well, the effect from that then says, well, don't even try to move up. Don't even try to master yourself. Don't even try to do all these things, because all you need to do is believe. That's the trap, though. Like, that's what you're talking about, because it's you're stuck in that now. And now there's no reason to move forward. Now there's no reason to learn all these new things. There's no reason to dive into yourself and to understand your higher self or your subconscious or the universe, everything that is already within you, literally woven within your DNA, that all of these things you're capable of. Whenever Jesus said, you can do all these things and greater things than I did. I'm sorry, like, I thought this was the one. I thought this was the guy. This was the only one capable of all these things. But this guy is telling you that you can do shit better than him? Like, hold on. I thought that there could only be one, right? Like, which one is it?
So we're all Neo.
Dude,
essentially.
No,
the code in the
but look at the allegory. What was the name of Neo's girlfriend? Trinity.
Yep.
What was the name of the ship? Zion.
No, the Zion was where they lived. It was the Nebuchadnezzar or something like that.
Okay. Zion is where they lived. Basically Zion is where? In Jerusalem. And Jerusalem, the word Jerusalem means the city of peace. So the allegory is that you need to find the kingdom within, which is located in Jerusalem, which has in Jerusalem, which is the city of peace, which is inside of you. So what it is that a lot of these names are also allegorical for states of being,
woven into the subconscious
and placed inside of you. For example, Israel. The word Israel means one who wrestles with God. So if you remember the story, Jacob fought an angel. That angel was an extraterrestrial. Jacob fought against one of the Anunnaki. He beat the Anunnaki because he ended up having a limp. And he says, okay, you've won, so I will bless you. So now your name is Israel. And Israel means one who wrestles with God. So in Israel, you find Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the city of peace. Also, it has in Zion. So you see how all of these words
interconnect.
And the Matrix movie has a lot of spirituality in it, woven in, that a lot of people don't make up. So Sean, what you said about being Neo is absolutely correct. Because what was Neo? He was the one. Right. Correct. And the one was the anomaly in the Matrix. And no matter how the architect tried, it was just this error. It was like this error code that kept producing Neo. No matter how
we all need to be the anomaly until it is no longer an anomaly.
Correct.
Now it's just the norm. We all know what's up now.
And that is what we all need to be. We all need to be the anomaly in this matrix, because, folks, the matrix is getting weirder and weirder, right? Like, dude, like, okay, we just had the French elections, right? And France is a mad place because, like, dude, y'all guys in the States, y'all think it's crazy over there? Bruh, Europe is like 30 years ahead of you guys.
Oh, shit.
And
I knew it.
dude, so the mass migration that y'all are having, we've had that for about 20 years at least. And
you mean crazy like in a bad way, huh?
Dude, basically, places like Sweden
Mhm.
are projected to be 30% Muslim. I think it's by 2050.
Hmm.
Dude,
Wow.
places like France, from memory, when they looked at the stats, it'd be like 25% or 20% Muslim. Now, I'm quite versed in Islam. And while we talk about Christianity a lot, because obviously it's in the West, in my humble opinion, Islam is the worst of the worst of the worst of religions. Now, let me break down some facts for people here now. So obviously, people like to say that the transatlantic slave trade was bad. Yes, that's an absolute fact. But let me give you some stats. The transatlantic slave trade was purely on a business motive. So it was 60% men, 40% women, because the men, big and strong, can work hard, but they need to produce more workers, more slaves. So you have 40% women. Now, in the Islamic slave trade, and in fact, this is an absolute fact, the Muslims were selling the conquistadors the slaves, right? So they were at the center of it, but it's not really reported, right? Because you're not allowed to talk about Islam. Like, y'all in the States don't understand how protected Islam is in Europe. It is next level, right? So 90% of the slaves in the Islamic slave trade were women. Let me repeat that again, 90%. Wow. Why? Because it's for sex slavery. Because there's a part in the Quran that says that you're allowed to have, I can't remember the exact word, but it goes something like, what is not forbidden for you is what your right hand possesses. What your right hand possesses is your slave girl, right? So you can have sex whenever and however you like, because she is actually your slave girl. And 10% of the slaves were men, and in vast majorities, those men were eunuchs. So basically, they castrated them, and they were just like keepers of the women in the harem. So they were harems, right? There would be tons and tons of women, and the caliph would just go there and have as much sex as he want. There are actual texts in the Islamic scripture that says that a woman is a place of sowing your seed. So go upon her whenever and however you wish. That is an absolute fact, right? Let me drop some more knowledge on you here now. Basically, Muhammad married his child bride at 6 and consummated the marriage at 9. That's an absolute fact as well. This is why pedophilia and child marriage is so popular. Now, Muhammad had 11 wives, and there's one verse in their text that says that the prophet used to have sex with all of his women in one night, and he only had one bath. That's in there. That's in there, bro. Like
Really?
I say, right?
I didn't know about any of this, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
Crazy.
I've got the receipts, so no Muslim can tell me anything because I've got the receipts. That religion was spread 100% through the sword. Christianity as well, but this one was basically, okay, you have two choices here. You're either going to convert and be a Muslim, or we can just kill you.
Right.
Most people chose to convert. That's how the religion was spread. And because now they're allowed to have 4 wives and they had sex slaves, they have high birth rates. That's why the religion actually grew so fast. It didn't grow because people were converting for fun. It grew because they were actually like spitting out loads of babies, right?
Right.
And that religion over there is next level, bro. Literally, they believe that we are fair game to kill just because we're not Muslims.
I have heard of that. Dude, that's wild.
There's verses in that book that says that you shouldn't trust the Jews or the Christians because they are the worst of creatures. They refer to us as creatures.
Wow.
Actual fact. I've got the receipts.
Oh, dude, the same thing is going on within the Talmud or the Torah. I can't remember which one, where they call every non-Jew a goyim.
Goyim, correct. No, the reason why I brought up France is that we're having this phenomenon in Europe where the Muslims are taking over, right? And these people, it's a death cult because in their religion, they believe that life starts after death. So there's this thing where they actually want to die, right? Mm-hmm. They don't value the actual life here because they think that by doing the work of Allah, then they will be rewarded with 72 virgins. That's that's also in their scripture. No,
72 virgins, that's what you get. Whenever you die, you're a good Muslim. Yeah, you carry out the works of Allah, and then you get 72 virgins. I actually used to mess with one of my homeboys at this job that I used to work at because he converted to Muslim. And I used to say, hey, man, 72 virgins would sound great right now, homie. You know, like, it's just crazy. Like, first of all, who thought to put that in that damn book, dude? Like you tell me that I got 72 virgins waiting for me if I just, do what I'm supposed to do here. Like, most people are just really that thirsty. They're like, I'll do fucking anything for 72 virgins, And it's like, dude, go wank one out, have that clarity and, think how stupid that actually is.
Yeah, that's why I say it's a death cult. And what they did is that they put all these things in there to incentivize men to go there and to be bloodthirsty. So we have right now, so you have like, places in like California where they look really bad with homeless and stuff. Paris is a place that looks exactly like that. We actually have places like that in the UK that are starting to look like that. And they just re-elected the left. Now, there's the thing. The left is blatant communism. And I have a friend that lives in France, and she and we speak ever so often. And she said to me, Todd, it is so bad in France. And people are out there in the streets pushing back against the measures that are being taken. These are the same people that went and got the left-wing government to be in power. How mad is that? So you have communism light with Macron, and now you're going to get communism full. It's the same thing in the UK. We just elected Keir Starmer. But let me drop some intel for you on that. So, dude, this is mad. Next level. He is actually called Sir Keir Starmer. He was the chief crown prosecutor, listen to this, when they were investigating Jimmy Savile. You know who's Jimmy Savile, right?
Oh, yeah. He was raping all those little kids.
Yes, no, this is a fact. Our new Prime Minister of the UK was the CPS, right? And he said that there was not enough evidence to prosecute Jimmy Savile.
CPS, like Child Protective Services, you mean?
No, Crown Prosecution Services.
Oh, okay.
So basically, like how you have like your DA, you call it CPS in England.
Oh, okay. District Attorney.
He said that there was no evidence dude, it is mad, right? Like my mate sent it to me, right? And I was like, dude, you couldn't really make this stuff up, right? And it just got to show that these people are all put in, right? They're all put in. So let me see.
And dude, the bad thing is that some of these people are literally worship, bro. It's like, I believe, and they have like hardcore cult followers. And that's a bad place to be in. And this really all does go back to like believing that there is a savior that's coming to save you. That's what it all goes back to.
I've already seen videos of people trying to worship Trump or like pray, you know what I mean, that Trump is the savior. It's the same shit.
It's equally as ridiculous,
wild, man.
Yep.
It says here, Keir Starmer stopped Jimmy Savile being charged in 2009. Mr. Starmer was head of the CPS, which is the Crown Prosecuting Service, when the decision was made not to prosecute Savile, but he was not the reviewing attorney of the case. An official investigation commissioned later by Starmer criticized both prosecutors and police for their handling of the accusations, the allegations. So basically, he although he wasn't in charge of it, he knocked on someone's door and said, "Hey, that case is not going to come forward," right? They didn't prosecute, and then they set up a committee to investigate. And then he came and blamed both the prosecutor and the police for how they handled it stuff. Long story short, he protected him, right? And now he's the prime minister.
Well, and you're saying that he's considered a sir, just like Jimmy Savile was too. He was considered.
Yes, he was knighted in 2014. So basically, he was knighted for that, right? And now he is the new prime minister. So all of these madness. This is why he was saying that the madness is crazy in Europe, right? And it's all to do with these religions, because you have people that are in the streets protesting for how bad conditions are and things are in France. And then they elected a government that's going to make things worse because they have this belief system that this guy is going to save them, give them more money, give them more benefits, because he's going to be, like you said, the savior. It's the same thing in the United Kingdom. So I don't know how things are going to go in November, but what I would say is that the mind virus seems to be getting worse. And people, we need to start to work on ourselves, because there are a lot of people out there that are just thinking that someone is going to be there to save them. You have to save yourself.
And once you do save yourself, you're no longer relying on a certain politician or a certain higher powered individual to completely, turn the ship around, turn the sails, and, set the winds in the other direction. We got to right this ship. No, like you're the captain of this ship. Like, don't just be, a deckhand. Don't just be somebody who is sitting in the galley just drinking ale or whatever the fuck. Like, take the wheel. Like, that's what you got to be doing. You're supposed to be the one that's setting the sails. You're supposed to be the one that's, just riding the waters and going in your own direction. It's perfect the way you set that up. And I was trying to figure out your angle on where you were going with that. And that's exactly right. Like, if you're believing in something that's outside of you, if you're believing that you can't achieve certain things that others have, then yes, you're going to put faith in other individuals who are going to claim to make your life better. And meanwhile, you're just here for the ride, just getting the what's the little, on a motorcycle, they got the sidecar, getting the sidecar. I'll take it, dude. It's right. You got to take control.
That's what they say, man. You want something done right, you got to fucking do it yourself. You know what I mean?
But there seems to be this consciousness that we've relegated our thinking to other people, right? And this is a common theme that I am seeing now, because like no one wants to think for themselves. And it's almost like these people are in the consciousness of people like the messiahs. And I'm like, but I mean, like I said, I am very positive for humanity, but it appears like if it has to get worse. And the problem is that the majority that is brainwashed is making it more difficult for the ones that are awake. So we're the ones that are really bearing the brunt, because even though they're suffering, because they are so attached to this belief that someone's going to save them, it means that it has to get so bad for them to snap out the matrix to realize, hold a minute, well, we just put in people that are actually going to make things worse. And I am telling you, within a year or two, all of those people that were very ecstatic about these governments coming in, they're going to be very, very pissed off, because it's going to get real for them. It's going to get really real, because what's going to happen is that we're going to have a breakdown in these beliefs. Because what's going to happen really is that we're going to have such deteriorating conditions. And this is my hypothesis. I think that they're going to, because the pandemic, they can't launch another pandemic again. It just wouldn't work. So I was literally telling this to my mate this morning. The way I am reading the tea leaves is that they're going to have an economic crash, but the biggest of all times. And then they're going to bring in the extraterrestrials, either fake, real, or a combination of both. We don't know. And the reason why I say that is that that is the only thing from reading the tea leaves that's going to galvanize humanity to want to think in one specific way, like how they did in the pandemic. Because don't forget, we have countries that like Portugal that have 90% jab rates. And then they have the actual per capita, the highest number of deaths that are happening, you know, and Portugal is only 10 million and 90%. So we're talking about 9 million people jabbed, right? And they have sudden deaths like going through the roof. So that event was done to test the waters, to have this, like how you have like a collective consciousness where it'd be like for positive, they flipped that and created a mind virus that is negative. So what's going to happen now is that if you crash the economy, everyone's going to lose everything. People are going to start to go mad and crazy, start raping, killing, committing suicide and stuff. But if we have a quotation marks, a threat from outside, it means that you will get all the people now through fear to start working as one unit, like how they were doing in the pandemic. Now, what's going to happen is that after a while, they are most likely going to declare, oh, well, they're not really a threat anymore. They're our friends. They've come here to help us and this and next. And then what will happen is that because when they start to show off the technology, and because obviously advanced technology can look like magic, we have something in us called a worship gene that the Anunnaki have put in. And we are predisposed to worship. And this is a gene that can be turned on and off. So like I said, this is my hypothesis. What I hypothesize that what's going to happen is that when people start to see this magic and doing all these godly things, they're going to bow to their knees and start to worship. And then they will have everybody in this one world government system where then they can bring in all these technologies like the CBDC, because don't forget, this would be to stop ever having another economic crisis, right? This would be linked to your driver's license, your address, national insurance number, or in the United States, social security number, you know what I mean? Your dental records, your health records. Then you'll be track, trace, and databased on you, because all these jobs having these graphene things, and also having nanobots, which can end up creating signals. So when they turn on the technology, they'll be able to monitor you wherever you are. They would say, hey, Todd, you haven't taken your medicine, so no money for you this month unless you take your medicine, right? So this is how I see the step-by-step approach to get us there, right? Crash the economy, introduce extraterrestrials, get us to worship them, then they bring in more jabs through the CBDC, and then they have us hooked, and we be forever slaves.
If they bring in the extraterrestrials, they better be the real ones. You know what I mean? And as far as the crashing the economy, I've been not having money, so I'm ready. You know what I mean?
But no,
scared.
I mean the truth of the matter is that will happen unless you know thyself.
Know thyself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect. I love it.
Absolutely. So this is why, like, I always really try to encourage people to work on themselves, get into shape, read books, start to do yoga, you know what I mean? Start to grow your own food, know your neighbors, you know what I mean? Like, learn how to fight firearms, all these kind of things, because all these things are going to be protecting you, right? But there's a form of protection, and in the process, you're going to end up learning yourself, because you're working on yourself in mind part, the spirit part, and the physical part, because you are a mind, body, spirit complex, right?
That
And
trifecta, my dude.
correct. That is the real trinity there, the mind, body, spirit. And when you start to know yourself in that way, then you become unstoppable, right? Because, you become unstoppable when you work on things that people can't take away from you. Things like your mindset, character, and personality. Yeah. That is what makes you unstoppable,
Love it, dude.
Hell yeah.
Every time
dude.
Todd comes on, man, I'm just saying, he just drops bombs. You know what I mean? And I hope none of that really super bad shit happens, but, hey,
you know what?
Prepared,
Speaking of dropping bombs, Todd, I want to see if you can interpret this dream for me, bro, because I had this wild dream last night. Now, I live in Texas. We just got hit with this fucking hurricane. It was like, category 1 or whatever, so it wasn't really that crazy, but I went to go to sleep, and they said that the hurricane was going to start hitting at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and so that's about the time I went to sleep. And I'm laying in bed, and maybe I hear the thunder from the storm or something like that in my dreams or while I'm sleeping or whatever. But I had the craziest dream, bro. It was a straight up doomsday dream. It was like, so I'm at like one of my buddies' house, like somebody who I literally haven't probably seen in 10 years. I haven't even talked to in 10 years. And I'm looking up in the sky. I'm standing at his front door, and his porch lights are on. We're standing at his front door. He is getting ready to walk into his house, and I look up in the sky, and I see what seems to be like a shooting star or something like that. And it's completely pitch black. I can see all the stars. I know that it's something shooting across the sky. I'm assuming it's a shooting star. And then I go, oh, wow, look up at that. And as soon as I say that, I see literally like thousands of them that are happening. And now I'm like, I don't think that's shooting stars, bro. Like, I'm thinking that it's like some kind of bombs that are all getting dropped. And I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe that I lived to see this day. This is absolutely crazy. It felt so real that there was just like a shitload of bombs all dropping at the same time in unison, all do. It was crazy, dude. And I woke up from that. I was only asleep for like maybe 10 minutes, and I had this whole dream, right? And because I checked the clock or whatever whenever I woke up. And dude, I don't know why I would think that. I'm not even somebody that believes that we would get bombed or anything like that. But I mean, what would you say would be your interpretation of that? Just out of curiosity.
I was thinking, you said it was all the stars, right? That were just like appearing.
I thought it was stars, but then like upon closer inspection, I deemed them to probably be some kind of bombs that were being dropped.
Could it not be extraterrestrial vehicles?
Could have been. Definitely could have been. If that's the case,
I like that better than the bombs, though.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Now, I didn't live to die in that dream. Like, I think I eventually, like, I woke up before, whatever happened was about to happen. But in my dream, dude, I was shitting my pants. It was crazy.
I have had like real dreams like that before, because I think I shared with y'all the dream that where I was fighting. I was in a gunfight, and then I was physically fighting in my dream, and then when I got up, my body was hurt and sore and stuff. So I didn't share that with y'all last time.
I don't think so.
I don't think.
All right,
at least not on meta.
Okay, so what I say that to say that I am strongly inclined to think that when we are awake like this is when we're actually sleeping. When we are dreaming and sleeping is when we're in the real world, because the dream world is where everything happens. And one of the reasons why I say that is that I remember there was a night that I was dreaming, and I was in this gun battle. And the battle was extremely ferocious, because we're talking like big 50 cal rounds being used, because I was behind a concrete pillar, and chunks of the pillar were being ripped out from the bullets, right? Like, because I couldn't stay there for very long. So it was always like, take cover and then timing when when the people reload to
Find
move
new
again.
cover, right?
You new cover. And the sound was like so loud. And then I managed to get out of that particular scene. And then I was actually doing hand-to-hand combat fighting. And this was so real that when I got up in the morning, I never forget, it was a Tuesday morning. And I normally train on Tuesday mornings. I couldn't go to the gym because my body was so sore. My body was in pain, right? From all the fighting. And that's why I am very inclined to say that, like, the dream world is the real world, right? That's never happened to me before. Where, like, dude, I felt so sore. Like, I was like,
You don't think
like,
you were like tensing up, like your physical body was just tensing up in the dream because you were like. But then again, I guess when you're in sleep, your body goes into like a certain physical state where you're incapable of moving your body. So I don't know, dude. That's weird.
yeah. So for me, that was like one of the reasons why I am inclined to say that the dream world is the real world. Plus, too, like, I've had some meditations where my higher self has said to me, like, again, this is full blown conversation. And my higher self said to me that, Todd, I can only be accessed in the dream world, either through sleep, psychedelics, or meditation. Basically, that's what it is. And dude, when you, like, again, I always call it the voice. And every time that I talk to the voice, like, did I tell you all how I managed to decide to just to do podcasting? Did I share that story with you?
Not sure.
Okay, so it was literally just after our first show on Meta,
Yeah, that's right.
right? Because I had spoken to you all and told you all, I'm thinking about doing it, right? I wasn't 100%, but I said, I'm thinking about it. About few 2-3 weeks after that, the voice spoke to me again, but this time I was sleeping. I woke up out of my sleep because the voice spoke so loud, and it was 2 words: do podcasts.
I remember when we were done recording with you, we were just saying like Todd needs to do a podcast. Like there's no reason why he's not doing one already, you know?
Dude, it was next level. So I was sleeping. This was about
A little sleep learning, dude.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm.
And I just woke up. But when I woke up, it was like, like if someone shouts at you, if you're sleeping and someone shouts, you wake up suddenly. That's exactly how it was. But this was all in my head. That's the voice that spoke to me. And it just, I as I woke up, it was so loud. It was do podcast. It was like, okay. You know what I mean? Because then it was like, like,
what do you do at that point? You know what I mean?
yeah,
like
what do you do at that point?
How can you not?
Yeah. And all the time where I have had, like, because what happens to me is that, I'll be honest about this, that I'm a little bit stubborn and I resist certain things. And I've been resisting, like, creating my own podcast. And you want to hear is the irony of it? I actually love it.
Right? Oh yeah.
I really like doing it. And it's actually like really giving me like a different view on life now. And it's something that I was avoiding all the time. So I want to share that with people, to say that you always know what you're supposed to do. You always know what's the next step. But most of the time, you ignore it.
Right.
And your suffering comes through ignoring it, which is why Lao Tao says that pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. And we suffer because we don't observe and obey the signals that the universe gives us. And the universe can send signals in terms of people, even movies, books. There's so many different signs and signals that are given to you. But what happens that we ignore those signals, and our suffering continues. And honestly, like since I started doing my own show, it's like, man, I just feel like this new found lease of life because like it just fills my heart with so much joy to do it, to talk to people, to connect and stuff. And I never thought that it would give me so much joy, peace,
It's awesome,
completeness,
man. And
happiness.
thus the Conscious Man 7 podcast is now out and available for everybody. So
Yeah, man.
we're really happy about that, my dude.
Yes, absolutely. And as far as like, I've heard some people say like this, it's a mantra that you can repeat. And it's like, today I will agree with God more than I ever have. And if you really look at that, it's like, all right, well, God or your highest mind or your guardian spirits or whatever you believe them to be, those messages are always being sent to you, whether it's in the form of synchronicity or some kind of number pattern that you're seeing or something along those lines. You know that you're receiving those messages, and it's up to you whether you're going to take heed to those or ignore them. And I think the more that you actually follow them and go with your internal instinct to, believe that this is from a higher power, whether it be yourself or God or the universe or whatever, that there is absolutely magic found within that. And that's why I love this show, because it's literally just trying to follow that as much as possible. And it's teaching us to follow that as much as possible, teaching us to look for those breadcrumbs and all of the mysteries that are literally woven within ourselves. Like, this information is not new. You know what I mean? Like, this is old shit, and it's all within us. It's not, I mean, yeah, you can find great information outside of you, but the majority of it is found within.
Absolutely. It's definitely from, this is why Christ said that the king, my kingdom is not of this world. And the kingdom, he said the kingdom is in both inside of you and outside of you. But you must go within in order to find it, because the outside is created from the image on the inside. And our society and the powers
that we are dealt, right?
Yep. The image, the powers that shouldn't be have tricked us to focus on the exterior, but failed to show us that the interior, once it is focused on, will always bring the exterior. Always. But the exterior is like the hologram that you built for yourself, the false hologram. And because that is not really stable and is easily to be shattered, the attachment to it is what causes the suffering.
Big time.
So when we go inside and we build from the inside out, you work on your fears, your traumas, your beliefs, your self-sabotage, how you act, how you react, not holding on to outcomes, like it gives you so much freedom. And like, honestly, like since I started to do the podcast, these things have become much clearer to me. It's kind of like mad, because I knew all of these things before. I've spoken about them, but like my mate says, truth isn't learned, truth is realized. And now that I've realized it, I'm like, wow.
I'm stealing
that was
by the way.
Yeah, that was the missing part to it. And I really love doing the podcasting. It's changed my entire like view of the world. Right?
Wow, dude, that's awesome, man.
It definitely does that, dude. I'm so happy that you're doing it, and I'm so happy that you're finding even more by doing it. Like, that's the gift of, like searching all of this information. And it's almost like, you tell the universe, look, I want to do a podcast and I want to be able to talk about all this information. The universe is all like, all right, I'm going to give you even more than you thought, dude. Like, that's just the way that it's going to be. But, but look, it's tarot time, dude.
Yeah, dude.
It's tarot time, and I actually drew a card like half an hour ago, and then we kept on going, and I was like, hold on, I need to embody this whole conversation, so I had to draw another one. And this card is the Empress, which is the third card in the Fool's Journey. And it says, The Empress embodies the essence of divine feminine energy. Through her connection to nature and her willingness to let her body be a sacred vessel, she creates a life filled with love. The Empress sits on plush pillows in a lush forest while a river flows toward her, suggesting her connection to nature. A heart with the symbol of Venus is proudly displayed by her side, indicating she is open to love and beauty in all of their forms. Her flowing pomegranate print gown symbolizes passion, fertility, and the ability to create. On her head is a crown of stars representing the 12 signs of the zodiac. The Empress's raised scepter and open body posture reveal her receptiveness and her confident attitude about the power of her sexuality. And the spiritual reading behind it says, remember to practice self-love and engage in more creative activities. By tapping into the energy of Venus through creativity, romance, self-love, and spending time in nature, you can bring divine love into your spiritual practice. Go outside and find ways to connect with the natural world.
Perfect, dude.
Interesting.
Perfect.
Because the feminine energy is associated with intuition. And
it's exactly what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what I'm tapping into now. So it feels like I'm starting to get balance in myself now. So very interesting card.
Oh yeah, the numerology behind it says it's 3. It's the third place the full goes. But it also symbolizes creativity, growth, and expansion.
The Trinity, dude.
Which is literally where I'm at, because, dude, like, I feel like I found my purpose. Like, just doing these shows and stuff, like, is really changed, like, the way I look at things. And I get excited whenever I have a show. Like, I always used to, but now it's like a different level. Whereas, like,
you're creating magic, dude. That's what it is.
Yeah, man. So I must actually, like, thank you guys, because y'all are part of that journey. Because it was like, after talking to y'all, because we had such a good conversation, off, after we turned the camera went off, I said to y'all, I'm thinking about doing this, and you were like, yeah, dude, do it, man. But I wasn't sort of like fully over the line yet. And then after I got woken up in the dream, it was like, okay, it's clear. I'm just gonna listen and do.
I waited until you were asleep to send you that message, Todd. I just wanted to.
It was thoughtful like that,
Thanks, man. Because truth is that I was putting it off for 2.5 years.
Wow.
And and
well, I'm glad coming on our show, man, struck a little chord in you. Earlier you were talking about, like, here we are, there's 3 of us, and we're exchanging ideas, and consciousness is learning from each other. And I was thinking to myself, like, I don't think there will ever be a day that I could teach Todd Cave something. You know what I mean? And then you say something like that, like coming on our show kind of helped you, like, realize you wanted to do your own show. So that's just fucking awesome, dude. Big time.
Hand on my heart. It was, you really, this show really sowed the seed in my head. And it was like, mulling, but then getting woken up with those 2 words, I was like, okay, boom. And then I even texted you. Remember, I said, okay, I'm doing it. I'm going to do the show. I said, look, thanks for having me on. You were definitely, because I kind of like felt inside of me I was going to do it, but I didn't fully commit. But then I fully commit. And then the guy that did your graphics did my graphics, and he's sick.
Oh, like, yeah, dude. I've already got the thumbnail made up, dude. I'm already ready to go, dude.
The Doodle and Dork, shout out.
Oh, yeah, dude.
He's amazing.
Well, look, Todd, one more time, let the one know where they can find you and they can listen to all of your great messages. And you're doing multiple a week, so I mean, there should just literally be. You should always have time to, like, take this information in. It's great, and I love it. And so yeah, let them know where they can find you, bro.
So y'all can find me on Instagram at Adriano_246. As you all know, I am also a fitness trainer, so I do that as well. And the podcasting has basically given me the whole complete package where I can teach people about fitness, teach people about the spiritual side of doing the podcast, and then also I help with mindset in my coaching. So if anyone is interested to get into shape, get into the best shape of their life, improve their mindset, and also learn some cool stuff, at Adriano_246 or Todd Cave on Facebook. And then you can find me for the podcast. It's called The Conscious Man 7. It's on Spreaker, also Spotify, Apple, Amazon, all those places. But
all places.
Yeah, Spreaker is the place where it's easiest to find me for some reason when you search on YouTube. On Google. And then also, because, we talk a lot about spirituality and stuff, I also can help you get some magic mushrooms. So if you're looking at doing a spiritual journey, I actually have a very good story to share with you. So after your show, one of your listeners reached out to me and we started to talk, and she was suffering from PTSD. And she was on antidepressants for many, many years. And now, after doing a couple of months of the magic mushrooms, she's actually off of the antidepressants now.
That's awesome,
that's great, dude.
Yeah. So she actually made my day when she told me that, because it was like, yeah, man, this is what I'm here for. I'm here to help people in some form or fashion. And so, yeah, if looking to start a spiritual journey or on a spiritual journey and you want some help with that, hit me up and I help you with some magic mushrooms. And check out all the links that are on my Instagram page, because I got a store there. I got a merch store, Todd and Me brand on Amazon. So if you check on my bio, you will see the link to the merch stores there. And that helps the podcast because we're looking at upgrading and getting some better equipment. And, because we have to produce more content now. So, we have to raise the game. So, yeah, go over there, check me out. And just want to say thanks for having me back on Meta. And thanks to all your really good followers. They've been very kind to me, and they reached out to me and they give me some love and support. And they also listen to my channel. So really must say thanks to you guys and thanks to them, because without you guys, then there's no Todd and Me, there's no Todd, there's no Conscious Man 7, So without you all guys...
There's always a Todd, man. There's always a Todd.
Hey, man, no, we appreciate you coming on and sharing all this great knowledge and all this wisdom that you've learned, throughout the past few years. And it's always a great time having you, and can't wait to do it again, dude.
Absolutely.
But look, we do have a meditation here lined up, and I think I found the perfect one. It is going to be a Thoth meditation, Emerald Healing Energy. It says, this meditation and energy healing will connect you to the Egyptian god Thoth, who is known for sharing divine wisdom. So,
all right, dude.
Let's go. Let's learn from the man, the myth, the actual legend himself, Thoth. And if you want to be able to stick around for that meditation, please go right ahead. But if you don't want to, then this is where we leave you. And we just have a small message for you. And that is that you don't know what you don't know. So don't just get weird.
Stay weird.
All right, the one for those of you who have decided to stick around for this guided meditation. And like I said in the before we ended the first part of the podcast, it is going to be a Thoth meditation. This meditation and energy healing will connect you to the Egyptian god Thoth, who is known for sharing divine wisdom and inspiring creativity. Thoth especially likes to work with creatives, artists, musicians, and writers and spiritual teachers. And that's what it says here. It says, in this guided journey, you will receive healing in an emerald pyramid where Thoth will activate your Ka. Don't know what the Ka is. We're about to learn, baby. So if you, it's only 13 minutes, so definitely stick around and, relax, sit in a nice comfy area and let the good times roll. So we're going to start it here in 3, 2, 1, let go.
Welcome to this guided journey where we will be connecting with the Egyptian deity Thoth, Tahuti, thrice great, the one that was in the beginning with the Word, the one that was the Word. This powerful creative being that many of the past wisdom teachings attribute as a source of collected knowledge. The wisdom that was passed from civilization to civilization is believed to have come by word from Thoth. The ibis-headed being, sometimes also seen as with the head of a baboon, can be a powerful source of inspiration for those that identify as writers, artists, musicians, creators, entrepreneurs, spiritual teachers, and wisdom keepers. Thoth holds the keys to understanding oneself and how the universe interacts around and within you. So with that, we will begin. Finding yourself in a comfortable place where you can sit or lay down. And as your eyes begin to find a comfortable gaze on the wall or ceiling above, become aware of your breath, the inhale and the exhale. Notice the rise and fall of the belly and chest. And as you continue to breathe, allow the body to become more and more relaxed. Perhaps allowing your eyes to gently close if this feels right for you. Allowing any tension in the shoulders and the back, hips and joints to begin to melt away. Feeling the lightness as the body begins the process of letting go, letting go. Breathing and relaxing into the heart space. Notice the lungs and the diaphragm expanding. The ease of the breath becoming more apparent as you continue on this relaxing journey. And this journey begins with you inside a chamber made of translucent green emerald walls. And you sit inside this chamber and see the 4 walls surrounding you, the ceiling and the floor made of this brilliant stone. And though you find yourself inside a chamber, you're able to perceive that it is a chamber inside a large pyramid structure. And high above the apex where the pyramid walls meet is the sun illuminating the walls of the chamber you sit inside. Notice the structure around you. Perhaps there are symbols, words, or a texture that is present. This chamber represents your heart space. So notice whatever it is that's making itself known to you here. The sunlight continues to illuminate this emerald chamber, and you find yourself sitting across from Thoth. He presents himself to you, perhaps with the head of the ibis, or of a baboon, or perhaps some other form. His presence seems to tower over you with a strength and internal confidence like nothing you have ever experienced before. Yet, you feel safe, though he stands before you emanating this energy of a loving and caring father. He speaks to you. Welcome, blessed child. Welcome home to this place where inspiration, ideas can be created. They come into form, and you as creator tap into this. It is here that Thoth will do an activation, an awakening of the heart space and activating your Ka, your dream body, and the part of your soul that is connected to your life essence. He will activate your hands, your voice, your feet, and your crown. So as you begin to receive these blessings, notice the sensations that arise. Beginning with the root of your being, Thoth rests the palms of his hands on the soles of your feet. Electricity pulsating through the opening channels of your feet, connecting you to the earth and your ancestral lineage. As this channel is cleansed, you feel a sense of grounded presence here. You feel connected to the past and all the wisdom that came before you. You get a sense of stability and security as this channel to the earth continues to flow with brilliant light from this great teacher's hands. And trusting that it is safe to be connected to the wisdom you receive, you allow it to flow. As this energy moves through your feet, you become aware now as Thoth places hands on the top of your head. The activation of your crown begins. You become aware of the connection to the divine, the infinite source of all, your higher consciousness, your divinity, the aspects of you that are divine. And here, Tahuti begins to cleanse away the unnecessary thoughts, the procrastination, the doubt that seems to linger through the monkey chatter of the mind. Allow this process to do what it needs to. And with the crown of your head and the soles of your feet open to the divine channel, the light from the sun reflecting through the emerald stone walls, this light begins to enter into the feet and your crown. This light moves through the throat, up into the womb and the sacral space, and together these energies meet in your heart. And the energy of the heart space begins to fill the entire chest cavity of your body, expanding out through the front and out through the back of your body. A current of energy pouring in from the source all around you. A receiving and gifting of life energy, imagining a toric-like energy emanating from you through the body, out from your heart. And Thoth continues to bless you with this activation. And from this place, you are invited to receive the insights, wisdom, and understanding, whatever creative spark that is desiring to connect with you here. And Thoth whispers in your ear a message, a key of wisdom meant solely for you. Receive this message with an open heart and invite it to connect with your being. Connecting once more to your heart. Notice the energy flowing in and out of your field. And Thoth places 2 fingers on your third eye at your brow point, and 2 fingers at the womb space just below your belly button, fully awakening these spaces. The 3 chalices, third eye, the heart, and the womb, carrying the source of all that is necessary for you to create whatever it is you're meant to create here on this planet in this lifetime. And in gratitude, Thoth rises, extending both of his arms up into 90-degree angles, palms facing forwards, fingers pointing to the sky, symbolizing that your Ka is fully activated, and taking his leave as you continue to bask in the energy of this activation in this sacred space. You may stay here as long as you like and return whenever you wish.
Ooh, that was a fun one.
Yeah, man.
That was
Though she was inside the chamber while she was recording that meditation, dude. Like she was somewhere sacred.
Oh yeah.
While making that meditation.
No
for sure.
doubt, dude. Yeah, that was really cool. I love that idea, dude. And that's what's so awesome about meditation is that you don't need a physical place to go where you're going in your mind. You know what I'm saying? You can really set the stage and set the tone and like all the characters and exactly where you're at. Dude, I was able to envision myself in like some kind of emerald cell inside of a pyramid with the sunlight shining through, and then Thoth
Green
with the ibis
walls.
head. Right, just showing right up to you, and then him putting the 2 fingers on the third eye, like that's wild, dude.
I had a feeling that was gonna be your shit right there, that part.
Oh yeah, dude. And like you know, the message I got is that like not so much a specific message, but more so like that, at least what I got is that he should be one of my people at the round table. And that anytime I'm looking for any kind of like divine wisdom or anything like that, like just know that he's there and he's got it.
Oh yeah, dude. That's kind of a vibe I got as far as not. I didn't go so much to the round table, but I was thinking as far as using that meditation more often, like on my own time. You know what I mean? If there's something I want to figure out, if there's some knowledge, or if there's some decision, I feel like that's like a go-to, man. That one right there.
Oh, that was solid. Todd, what was your time with that, dude?
It was very peaceful. Basically confirming that I basically doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right? Like, it's just even more clarity on that because, like, you know, what I shared is the absolute truth. Like, I feel really, really privileged and honored to be like sharing information and sharing knowledge, and you know, it is with great responsibility. But I'm ready for that because, like, you know, it's a gift I have, and you know, I have to start leaning into my gifts, and I really love learning all these things and sharing, and I get really excited when I learn new things and stuff because, you know, so that's basically what I got. That, like, you know, just keep going, right on the path, right?
Hey, dude, it's like the late great Ben Parker once said, "With great power comes great responsibility." And I do feel like it is kind of a responsibility to do our absolute best on these shows and to keep on coming up with like just amazing rabbit holes to dive into in order to expand our awareness. Like that's, I don't know if there's anything greater that you can do as far as consciousness.
Right.
It's true.
The actual message that I got, you know, was that like when he was speaking to me was that you were powerful. And so you say great power comes great responsibility. So, I mean, I'll take it all day, dude.
Yes, dude.
I can recommend a really good book. It's called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And
it's a great title.
Dude. And what you said just now, there's a line in that book And he says that you say it to yourself every day, about 20 times a day. And it goes, I am greater than I think I am, and the power of the universe is inside of me.
I love that, dude. I love
So
that.
I actually say that as part of my meditation on the morning. And for those that are listening to this show, go back and listen to the prayer that I recited that it came with the emerald tablets. And it would take a little while to memorize, but once you do, trust me, it opens up, right? And I used to have said it probably, thinking about it, probably about 1,000 times in 6 years. So yeah, you know, all these are little gems that I like drop and give people. But that book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, very, very interesting book. And definitely that you know, invocation, I am greater than I think I am, and the power of the universe inside of me is very, very powerful. Very powerful.
Dude. Definitely. I definitely believe that. You know, the words we tell ourselves, positive or negative, super powerful either way. You know what I mean? Just depending on how you want to use them.
Correct.
You know? I remember during that meditation, I got like chills on the top of my head, you know, when he was like holding my head. And I was like, oh shit. Like just the words that lady was suggesting to me was giving my body this physical feeling, you know. The other day, I was thinking about affirmations and everything else, and I remember saying, and with like great intent, like there wasn't an actual thing that I attached to it, but I just said I am, you know, because we know the affirmations, and when you say I am, it's very powerful. And I just said I am with just like the most intention, and I got chills. I don't know if that's ever happened to you guys before, but there's definitely something to it.
Dude, just when you say I am, it leaves the door open. Like, I am what? It's like everything, dude. Everything.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I didn't even attach anything to it, but I just wanted to say the words I am, and I said it out loud. I was in the car, you know, or something. Nobody was around, so I didn't feel silly or nothing like that. But I just said I am with like the greatest intention, and I literally, my whole body just got chills. So
it wants to hear that.
It's something.
All those little atoms, they want to hear that shit.
Yeah, so people at home, try that shit. Just say it with like some great intention. And I don't know, maybe you'll feel it, maybe not. I don't know, but
the great shaman in training, Sean, over there, just spitting
real,
facts.
Dude. I know, there's something to it, dude. I'm learning too, shit.
All right, well, look, Todd, we'll let you bust up out of here. Thanks so much for spending this time with us, and we'll see you next time, brother.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye, y'all.
All right,
Bye,
cheers.
Guys.